Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. Join us, Eric Geis and Nick Johnson, as we dive into today's best EdTech tools, tips, and practices. We do the research so you can teach your class. Remember to follow us on social media like Instagram, X, or Facebook by looking for the handle @EdTech Throwdown. Now please enjoy the show.
Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. This is episode 173 called There's an AI for That. In this episode, we'll talk about some more of the many and ever-evolving ways that AI is making our teacher lives easier. This is another episode you don't want to miss. Check it out.
All right, back episode 173. Today we're going to get into AI. There are going to be tools that are going to be used for specific purposes. There's going to be some fun AI tools that you might use not only in the classroom, but to impress your friends or maybe even a wife for anniversary or something like that. I could see multiple ways some of these are used, but we're also going to give you 3 AI super hubs today. These super hubs are basically a curated list of AI tools by function, by price level, many different things here. So if you are interested in AI or any tools, there are tons that are in these super libraries that you can go look at.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we called the episode. I love this title, by the way. Good for you for coming up with that. In this case, there's an AI for that, because if you don't already know that, there probably is an AI for that. It almost reminds me of in like the early 2010s when smartphones really started becoming what they are, and everybody was like crazy about apps, right? There was an app for everything, even just like silly, dumb little things. There's an app for, I think that was even a saying, there's an app for that. That has kind of faded away, and we've pared down the apps that we use to like actually useful, more utilitarian things like banking or whatever. And maybe you've got like a couple fun ones. But AI right now kind of reminds me of that. And I'm going to, I think the title of today's episode hits at that same point. There's an AI for that, because everybody's going nuts trying to use the AI in the background of their tools to do some cool and funny and hopefully useful thing. And it's just fun to look through them. This all came up from something that happened to you right after our back to school, PD. Teachers were talking just in general about, AI tools to do stuff, right?
Yeah, so there's a school instance where this came up. There's also a baseball coaching instance that this came up, and one of my coaches realized that when we were doing tryouts for 9-year-olds, and that still sounds ridiculous to me, the fact that we are doing tryouts for 9-year-olds. I don't remember a tryout until later on in life, but when you get a lot of kids out for a team, there's no way that you could take everyone. So one of the things that we noticed was that our kids were not students of the game, like where we wanted them to be. They didn't know some of the plays that we thought that they should know or have a foundational understanding of the game. So one of my coaches asked if there was an AI that would help, 9-year-olds go over different baseball scenarios. So I typed it in. There wasn't anything there that met our needs. A lot of the times we couldn't get it down to a 9-year-old level. So I decided that I was going to just create my own tool, and I did that, and it looked pretty good. It was doing what I wanted it. I wanted it to give the baseball player a scenario, how many outs there were, what inning it was, what position they're playing, what would you do if this happened. All right. So our kids know, there's 2 outs, plays over at first if you're an infielder. They know that. But I'm talking about some of the more advanced stuff. You're playing first base, ball is hit to left center with 2 outs. What do you do as the first baseman? Do you stand on the bag? I mean, we could easily make that a multiple choice question, but what I wanted them to do is type in their answer of what they would do. And for more detail they get rewarded more points. More points, gets them higher on the scoreboard or the leaderboard. So they could pick things like, make sure that the guy who's running touches first base. So, because really once that runner runs past first base, that first baseman might be out of the play, or think that that person's out of the play. But really what they need to do is trail the runner and provide an extra backup to the base. So if the left fielder overthrows second base, he wants to get in a position where he could back up the throw. And that's a higher level understanding.
So that's cool, because I would imagine that's the kind of thing that if you played baseball and practiced long enough, you might be in that situation and learn what to do. But with this AI, right, you can kind of force that on the kids and get them to think about it maybe like before it happens, right, to kind of speed them through and learning those situations faster, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is getting them exposed to information that they wouldn't typically think about. And if they could start thinking in that way now, when they're not in a game-like situation, maybe they'll be able to perform a certain way in practice, which will lead to a good performance in the game. And really, coaching baseball players is not a whole lot different than educating students. It's the same concept. For me, I try to get them uncomfortable with what they don't know or what they don't think they know or they're not confident in, put them in those situations and have them fight back to feeling comfortable. And that's the learning process for me. I've said it before. Getting kids uncomfortable in the right way will help them learn more than doing repetitious things like reading out of a book, answering 5 questions, and then having a discussion. So our job is to get them uncomfortable, let them fight their way back. And with the assistance of AI, that's next level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got another scenario from just about a week ago, sort of along the same lines. This happened to be an administrator who has a staff member at one of the schools in our district who's teaching a course that does not have a textbook. They couldn't find one, or they did find one, but it wasn't exactly what this very unique class is. So he was trying to go above and beyond and step in and provide this teacher with some resources and actually some specific lessons. And he had heard that AI can do that sort of a thing. He had himself mentioned to me Brisk. You remember Brisk, the extension, right? Mm-hmm. Brisk is, a great tool. It's not really worth saying what it does. It's probably easier to say what it doesn't do, because it's just it's one of these things that's just constantly adding more and more and more things that it can do. One thing it can do is develop lessons. You could just be on a website, and if you have the Brisk extension, it'll turn the information in that website into a lot of different things, one of them being a lesson. So he came in and was just sort of getting rolling with the Brisk extension and how it works. And it was just like another great example of, there is probably an AI for that. And as always, while you may not get the perfect result, the lessons I was helping this guy make, they were fine. They were like whatever, like vanilla, I would honestly call them like flat lessons. But the important thing is it exists. It's a starting point. You can now give that to an actual human educator, and they can add their own flair to it. They can incorporate things that they know their students will enjoy. And it's just a huge time saver. So that's going to be sort of I think the underlying message with all of these tools today is, yes, we're very aware that AI does not give you always like the most perfect, polished, ready-to-use result, but it's a starting point, it's a time saver, and that's going to be our message with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, so one of the first days back, this is just another example. A teacher came up, they were making some type of interactive presentation, and they had a photo that they wanted to use of a guy that wasn't super popular in one of the wars or battles, but they really wanted to include them in the lesson, they could only find one decent picture that met that teacher's needs, and it was a little blurry. So the teacher asked if there was an AI that would help that out, and I did some digging. The best one, the easiest one to use that I saw, I'm sure Photoshop has something. I'm sure some of the other, more complex photo editing softwares have it. But I went into Canva, and they have an app that is like an image enhancer that basically will fix up a low resolution photo and increase the quality of that up to 8 times.
That's cool.
When you get to 8 times, it kind of looks futuristic. I mean, it looks overcorrected. But if it's not too terribly blurry and you do it like 2x or 4x, it's really cool.
That's awesome. And that this is not connected to what we're talking about now, but I think we should do a future episode of our podcasts just on Canva apps, because there's just so many crazy things. It's another gigantic world that is, I think, untouched largely by a lot of teachers, and you saying that just made me think of it. But that's for the future, and that's not what we're talking about today. I think this is a good place to actually pause, wrap up our little introduction, and hear a word from the Teach Better Podcast Network.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcasts. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right, let's get into the main bulk of our episode here, which is we're going to give you 3 different AI resource hubs, which will allow you to basically go search a curated list of AI tools. And then we'll get into 6 AI tools that we've kind of explored that we really enjoy. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these AI tools are for fun. Some of these are going to help our professional duties as teachers. But either way, we think that they're valuable, so we'll get into that. I guess we should start with the AI curated list hubs/space.
Yeah, let's do the super hubs. I don't know. We can probably just list these things out. Maybe I'll do that because they're all pretty much the same thing. So if this interests you, just pick one of these, and next time you're not driving or if you're in front of a computer now, just Google it and find them, or head to our show notes. The first one's called whataicandotoday.com. That's the actual URL. The second one is AI Tools Directory. That is AIToolsDirectory.com. And the last one is, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pronounce this, but it's AI. Oh, I get it now. The letters are AIXPLORIA, which, if you sound it out, is AIExploria.com. But all of these are, as you put it, super hubs, repositories that just collect different AI tools that are out there so that you don't have to muddle through that yourself. And I'll just use the middle one I mentioned, AI Tools Directory, as an example. So you go there, and right on the main page, it just starts listing them out by category, and you can filter the results. So if you don't want to see all the results, if you want to just see AI related to audio or coding, or scrolling down, let's say generative art or generative video, and then you can also filter by price. So let's say if you're in a school, then we're just looking likely for free tools. You can filter all those and just see what it spits out to you. I'm just scrolling down the main page, and it's listing some cool stuff. One of the ones we've mentioned before called Merlin, which is an AI Chrome extension that does some pretty nifty things. All 3 of these are going to be more for the type of person who just thinks AI is cool and is interesting and really wants to explore in the broadest way possible. Or if you are helping another teacher who has a specific need, like a video project in class, and as part of that, maybe you need the students you want the students to try developing an AI generated video as part of what they're creating, then you can head here and filter those results for, video generative tools that are free, get it approved and, security checked by the powers at be within your district, and then you're off to the races, that teacher, or you can use that for that project. But the super hubs are neat in those very specific applications. I find it interesting because I like this AI stuff. I think it's just cool to know all of the different things that are out there. And, last time I was on one of these was probably 6 months ago. There's got to be 10 times as much stuff today as we're recording this as there was then. So it's just literally an exploding landscape. But check those things out if that's what you think you might be interested in. We do have 6 more, but these are more like actual specific tools. I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, before we go into the tools, I'm just looking at AI Exploria.
Yeah.
What I like about that one is they have a top 10 list. And so it's like one big running web page, but it has all these different categories like video generators, AI chat and assistant, voice reading, human resources, AI detection, e-commerce, email, education and studies. They have the top 10 AI tools for each one of those listed there, hyperlinked, so you could easily pop it out.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. The other one shouldn't be shortchanged either. That was probably really the basis of this episode is what can AI do today? Or what AI can do today, which is another list. So don't want to shortchange any of those. There are probably more than these 3 collections out there, but I think they overlap a lot, and it just depends on how you want it to be organized. Like if you wanted to shop only the free or freemium tools, I would probably go to AI tools directory because you could easily do that with a checkbox, and it will weed out the ones that are paid if you don't want to invest in any of these tools.
Right.
So let's get into the 6 tools. My first one is called TeacherMatic. I think TeacherMatic falls in the same category as one that you're going to talk about in a little bit, but also the same lines as some of these big, large AI resource tools for teachers, such as
Magic School
and School AI and EduAid.
I was trying to think of the other one.
Yeah, I'm having a case of the Mondays on a Friday right now. Like these names, if they're not written in front of me, I am struggling. But I'm telling you right now, TeacherMatic is kind of on the same wavelength here. It's going to help you create things for your classroom. And the cool thing about it, when I go and look at the pricing behind these, is that they give you 5 generations per day. And you can export these in all the major formats. So that's pretty cool. They do not give you access to all the generators, but there are a decent variety of tools that you could use. So in all of them, I really like the rubrics maker. And when I say all of them, all the aforementioned Magic School and EduAid and stuff like that, rubrics save me so much time. So I really like those. In this one, you could do lesson plans, multiple choice questions. You can make course modules. You could do different topics. It's going to generate a list of topics tailored to whatever category you want. You could have topic notes. There are so many flashcards, quizzes, discussion topics, classroom debates, worksheets, lesson objectives, step-by-step guides, PowerPoints. There's one that I love teaching using analogies. It's just one of my favorite things to do. So there's an analogy maker in there. As you keep going down, you have lesson observation prompts if you're more on the administrative level. But there's just so many more on here. They have a button that says so many more on here. When you go click there, there's a bunch more. Social media posts. You can generate social media posts for X or Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and it's going to come up and give you a big list of those that you can use. So TeacherMatic, check it out. I think it's pretty cool. If you're one of those people that don't mind using multiple different platforms to do the same thing, meaning if you're chasing the free, maybe finding these ones that give you 5 downloads a day rather than, the ones that are only this tool is free. If 5 downloads a day or 5 uses is something that, fits your need, TeacherMatic is definitely a spot to go check out.
Yep, and then since you're talking about that, I'll throw in Khanmigo, which is Khan Academy's version of the same thing. It's their magic school. It's their EduAid. This one is totally free, without limit, which is one reason I like it. I think, my gut here says that Khan Academy is doing this totally free because there is a student side to Khanmigo that is actually like an AI tutor, and that is not free. So my feeling is that Khan Academy wants teachers using Khanmigo to get their students using Khanmigo, and then that'll be the moneymaker, potentially. That is complete conjecture, so if I'm wrong about that, and you know better than me, good for you. That's just my best guess. But hey man, free on the teacher side is all we're talking about right now. So
yeah, Khanmigo is another one of those that you definitely want to check out. And if it's free for teachers, that means you get to use all those tools for free. That's pretty awesome. So definitely check that one out. The next one, I still get the teachers that come up and ask, is there an AI tool that detects AI? And if so, which one's the best? And
I hate that question.
It's a tough question.
Tough question.
But I will tell you that the AI checkers are getting better. If you pay for a subscription of something like Turnitin, that's probably your best bet because that takes in the writing style of that particular student throughout the course of the year. So it will compare its writing from the first writing of the year to the last and stuff like that. However, that takes time to build up that collection and sometimes, you want to catch it earlier than what that's going to be able to do. But if you're a school and you have it the whole way up through their academic career, then, that would probably be my best bet for teachers to use the subscription that they're paying for. Now, there are some other AI tools that are out there. The one that I kind of like right now is called AI Cheat Check. I hate that they use the word cheat in there because I feel like that's a gotcha and I don't like the whole gotcha conversation. But I will tell you that, I've entered something that I wrote versus something that was AI generated in several different spots, including Turnitin. And it's getting the same marks as Turnitin. Whereas in some of the other ones, they scored a little lower. So AI Cheat Check, it's very simple to use. It's more like you just enter it into the site and it comes up. There's just a big text box. You copy and paste it in there. You could choose whether it's, the format of that. I don't think really the format matters. So you don't need to worry about it being formatted perfectly and everything like that. You're just looking for the text, so you just paste it in there. And it's going to tell you whether it's ChatGPT, ChatGPT 3, or a human. Like you can choose whether you think it's one of those as well. You can train it a little bit as to the assignment. You hit check, and then you're off to the races.
That's cool. I'm discouraging teachers from using these at all just because, unless that accuracy is 100%, you're still going to have the student, maybe a lot of them, that will say, well, I don't care what the fact checker says. I did not use AI to write this. And then you're in a position of, what do you do? Are you just going to ignore that student and not believe them? What kind of feelings does that produce from there on out in both of you? Or are you going to believe them? And then you're putting the student in the position that says, well, they can do whatever they want all the time with AI, and there is no way to catch me. Neither is good. So I think that if you're going to go down this road, and this is what you want AI for, is an AI to catch other AIs, I think what you want to just realize is that these cheat checkers, or AI checkers, let's call them, should be part of a larger process. It shouldn't be the only evidence you have of you probably cheated student X, or you probably copied this. It can be one prong of that. It can be one piece of evidence, but you should probably also, check the version history of the Google Doc they're in to make sure that it's something that was typed in over time rather than copy paste it all at once. And if you have like almost a checklist of things, and okay, student X, I have checked 3 things on my checklist of it's crazy likely that you did not do this. Plus on top of it, this writing just does not sound like you. Then you can move forward. But as a solo thing, I think it's tough to use these tools.
What I love using these tools for is as I go over an assignment, say it's a research paper, I just tell them, hey, this is the simplest forum for me to have a conversation with you. I'm going to put it through stuff like this. And there's other means to protect myself or protect yourself from using AI in the wrong way. For my classroom, first thing I'm going to do is run it through an AI checker. Just get a basis. But if you use AI, you are required to tell me what prompt you used for this assignment and what the export or the output was of that AI tool. If you do that, then I feel like you have more of a basis for a conversation, but you also have more of a deterrent for them to use it in the wrong way. All right, we have other apps that we like to use or extensions like Draftback, Revision History. Those are both Google extensions that we can use that will also do kind of the same thing. It's a deterrent. And if you show them that you're well versed in AI, then they're not going to be as likely to try to pull one over you. So that's what I would use it for, not as a gotcha, but as a deterrent or a conversation starter.
Yeah, well said. And we can leave the AI checkers there with that one. Next one on the list is cool. It's called Logo Fast. And I'm going to do this one quickly because what it does is pretty simple and you either need it or you don't. It's a custom logo maker, sort of like a custom icon maker. Super cool if you're working on a website or designing worksheets or presentations that are unique and special to you. Maybe you're selling some of your teaching materials online and you want to brand it a little bit with an icon that is all your own. You can go to Logo Fast, and the URL for that is logofa.st, and just kind of describe what you want, set the size, set the rotation, set the border width, type in what you're looking for, and then download it when you're finished. It's very, very cool. We teach a podcasting class and then another digital design class, so this appeals to me greatly for that. I also do a fair bit of stuff where icons are involved. They just appeal to me. I know that's not for everybody, but I see a lot of teachers looking for this sort of thing. Maybe if you're putting together a slide deck on DNA, you want just a nice clean little DNA logo and you can't find the right one, you've got an AI for that in LogoFast to go there and have it build it out for you. So it's like a nice little fun one to add to our list today.
Yeah, and speaking of fun ones, I'm going to go with mine, and I'm going to give the little backdrop story. I like to poke fun at Nick from time to time.
You're not going to tell the story.
The story.
Oh, man.
All right, now you've really built it up for failure. All right, so last week we had back to school night. And I'm sure if Nick tells the story, it will be slightly different, but I'm going to tell it as the way that I saw it. We had back to school night. Nick typically wears, I'm not saying that he's going to wear suit and tie for back to school night, but he always has typically a button-down shirt at the very minimum, but usually a tie that goes with it.
I do wear, it's the only day of the year I wear my shirt and tie to school still.
He dresses to impress. All right. Me, I'm more of the polo type. I do the polo. I want to be comfortable, and I want my kids to be comfortable in class. I do want to impress the parents, but I'm hoping that the way that I come off, the sense of being very genuine and caring about their kids, is evident by the time they leave. Okay. But I come in one morning and I go over and I see Nick in his chair. I'm like, okay, cool. He gets it. And I go over, I go, hey, Nick, how you doing? Start the morning. How you doing? Nice small talk. He goes, good. And I go, I'm proud of you. And he goes, what do you mean you're proud of me? I go, I'm proud of you. He goes, what are you talking about? What are you up to? I go, why do I have to be up to something? He's like, well, you don't just come over and say you're proud of me for no reason. What happened? What's going on? I go, you're wearing jeans. He goes, yeah, I wanted to be comfortable today. I was like, I'm proud of you. And he goes, what are you talking about? Why me being comfortable? Is that something that's going to make you proud? I go, because it's back to school night. And I don't see any change of clothes in your office. I'm proud of you. He goes, it's back to school night. I totally forgot.
I wasn't just in jeans too. I had I think it was a collared shirt, but I did not look presentable at all to stand up in front of the parents. So this was a bad move for me.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm proud of you. He goes, you stop saying that. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it? You're going to, drive an hour home and an hour back just to go to get a pair of pants? Now, I'm not saying that he had like holes in his knees or rocker jeans. He had a nice pair of light colored jeans.
It's just normal jeans.
They're not normal. They're not blue. They were like more of a whitish. If I had to say a dressier pair of jeans, I would say it would be more on the dressier side.
I got them on right now.
All right. And he's like, well, no, I'm not going home. I was like, I'm proud of you. Stop saying that. Look, I was proud of him. But then he goes, I'm going to go to the mall. And I was like, you're actually going to go to the mall? He goes, well, I'm going to order them in advance. I don't know if that makes it any better or worse, but I was like, all right, I'll go with you. So we went and picked up some jeans, got some sushi, came back and had parents' night.
Well, the worst part is that the pants that I ordered were not there when we got there. So they just didn't have them, so I couldn't get that. I had to then shop, and I hate shopping, while I'm making this poor guy wait around in the mall. So I'm shopping for pants. Ended up buying a pair of pants that were also jeans, just like a brown colored jean. I just felt like a big dummy after the whole thing. And this concluded with me being mercilessly made fun of the rest of the night for not only forgetting jeans, but then just buying more jeans in place of them.
Yeah, so he had a dressy pair of jeans, and he bought a dressier pair of jeans.
Right.
And I'm just laughing the whole time.
So silly.
But as he's doing that, I decided that I wanted to see if there was an AI for the type of ridicule that I wanted to cause Nick. So we're bringing this full circle. So I found an app. It's called Suno. And what it does is you write a prompt, just like you would with any other type of AI. The better the prompt, the better the output. And in that prompt, I want a country song that is funny by nature, poking fun at a guy named Mr. Johnson who wore jeans on back to school night. And let me tell you something, the output was hilarious. I think the first line was like, I wore jeans on back to school night, I don't care. And then there's a couple more, and then the end of the paragraph was, I guess I'm not that PTO type of guy or PTA type of guy, and it was hilarious.
That was my favorite line. I'm not the PTA kind.
Yeah, I'm not the PTA kind. So it was absolutely hilarious, and I decided that I was going to play it for people back at school, and then they thought it was hilarious, so they started entering their own prompts, and you get 5 songs, but they give you 2 variations of the song based on your prompt per day. And every time he went into someone else's office, he was getting a new blue jeans on a back to school night song, which was phenomenal. It made me so happy, and I was so proud of every single one of them that participated.
Yeah, so I had probably a week of being made fun of with different Suno songs, which is, it was funny, honestly, and then it just got us thinking that you could use this to some pretty cool effect for classroom projects if you design these songs for your students. Remember, you can tailor them to be about very specific things, like me not wearing dress clothes and doing jeans instead. You can make that about content. You could just make a fun song about your class. Geis made another one about me and my chemistry class that we're going to just pop into the episode here, so you guys can give it a listen just to get a sense of how good these things really are.
Yeah, they're good, and some of them are good in a bad way, meaning that they're so bad they're good. And this would be a case of that. My prompt for this song was, I want an alternative rock song about a teacher named Mr. Johnson who the students really, really like. And Mr. Johnson here is really, really liked by his students. I further said, Mr. Johnson comes in is very funny. They love his dry jokes, his weird jokes, and he likes to light things on fire. Because all that is pretty accurate in my experience of Nick.
All right, so with that prompt, let's give this song a listen.
Mr. Johnson walks in cold morning blaze, and students buzz around in an endless craze. Quirky grin, got that spark in his eye. Ready, set, fire, knowledge, let it fly. Books pile high, never stays on the shelf. Classroom chaos, he's peeing himself. Flicks a lighter, shows us something new. Learning, burning with a wild view. Mr. Johnson, you're the fire. Ignite the flames, our minds aspire. Crooked humor set in motion. Teach us with that burning potion. Flame licks chalkboard, lessons in the air.
All right, so you can see that's like really good, right? That's a legitimate song. You can tell it's AI, but it doesn't matter because it's just fun. It's really cool, and you can let your imagination run wild with how, what that might be able to do for you and your class. If nothing else, it's going to give you and the students a bit of a laugh and a lighthearted moment, which is always super valuable. Which, if you're good, are you good on Suno? Does that wrap that one up?
Yeah, that wraps that one up. I mean, we got a nice story out of that. We got to make fun of you some more in a very polite, loving manner.
Beautiful. So let's bring it home then with our sixth and final tool called Mnemonic.ai. This is my favorite use of AI. I think this is going to be, once the dust settles, I think this is going to be one of the ways that AI remains in education, and that is as a tutor on the side. A study space, if you will, that is available to students in demand at all times, all hours, when the teacher cannot be. There's lots of things that do this. We mentioned Brisk earlier. Brisk has one of these spaces now where students can go and talk to the extension, talk to the AI, but about the learning and get real responses, get actual guidance and support when the teacher is not available. Classroom.ai is my favorite one, where you can build out a chat room that students can talk to an AI bot about a thing of your choosing, help them brainstorm, help them understand the difference between an animal cell and a plant cell. It can ask them questions to probe them. It can do like real tutoring. And Mnemonic.ai is kind of in that ballpark. They call themselves a study space, an all-in-one study space that students can go to for like custom AI created study materials, summaries, quizzes, flashcards, all done in seconds using prompts as put in by the students. And, I haven't used this in class. This is a very, very new one for me. They've been featured all over the place in all kinds of, magazines and TV shows. Usually that at least means it's worth checking out. The more specifics, I mentioned quiz makers, summaries, flashcards, these things called smart practice modes. You can chat with files, sort of like Chat PDF used to be, where you upload a file and then ask questions about that. And here's my favorite one, the AI tutor. I love it. I think that's one of the best ways to use AI. So that is just a little bit about Mnemonic.ai. Did I hit everything needed there?
I just wanted to mention that Mnemonic AI has a slightly different way of, pricing.
Right.
They're going to give you 2,500 AI tokens, a one-time free allotment of tokens. Once you use those, then you would have go off the freemium and have to pay to up those tokens. But 2,500 seems like a decent number of tokens, and will at least let you know if this is something that you want to invest in long term.
All right. That is a great thing to point out, and that also wraps up an excellent episode of the EdTech Throwdown. Hopefully we've given you guys something to think about, a little more guidance, and just general ideas when it comes to this ever-changing AI landscape. So that wraps it up officially. As always, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the EdTech Throwdown. Do us a couple of favors. subscribe to our podcast on any major podcast catcher such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and Stitcher. Go over to YouTube, search the EdTech Throwdown, subscribe to the channel. You can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The show's handle is EdTech Throwdown. You can connect with Geis at GeisGotTech, Nick at NickGotTech. You can write us an Apple Podcast review. You can tell your friends about www.edtechthrowdown.com. And lastly, go over and check out our friends over at the Teach Better Podcast Network, a network that we are so proudly involved with. Until next time, remember, go try some EdTech because we will do the research so you can teach your class.